The next few minutes are going to completely change the way you think about business. I wish I knew these things when I was starting out. Yes, I got a $50 million trophy from running my businesses, and we've done over $100 million in sales. But if I knew about it, I would have saved myself millions, if not tens of millions of dollars. Now, when you learn this framework, you're going to be able to problem solve so much faster in your business. You're also going to save yourself from the number one biggest threat for any successful entrepreneur, as well as any entrepreneur just starting out. So this framework is going to help you with decision making if you're a new entrepreneur or you are an existing entrepreneur. Once you understand your business actually has 5 different dynamics, now you're going to be able to decision make so much faster. So the first dynamic in a business, and there's 5, I've covered them up as you could see over here. There's 5 dynamics. The first one is market. You have to start thinking about your market as a living, breathing organism. Okay? Market is changing all the time, which is why you see in the S&P 500, those companies that are in the S&P 500, which is like the 500 biggest publicly traded companies, those companies move up and down all the time. 10 years ago, most of those companies, a good chunk of those companies were not in the S&P 500. 50 years ago, probably none of them were in the S&P 500. It's mainly because of the market. The market is always changing. The world that I'm in right now, ClickFunnels used to dominate, and then Go High Level came in, and now ClickFunnels is in danger as well. So think about your business in that way. You're already solving for a problem of the market when you are an entrepreneur doing business. For people that are running 2 businesses at the same time, this framework is going to show you, do not do multiple businesses because you're already solving for so many variables. If a business has 5 different variables and each dynamic has 5 different variables within itself. For example, market, yes, changing market condition, interest rates are very dynamic, the health of the market in general as well, problems of the market, needs and wants of the market change over time, especially with technological changes as well. Just one force is very variable by itself. So how can you, now you have to solve for let's say 5 different variables within each dynamic, right? That's a very complex problem that you're solving for. Starting one business is difficult enough. How can you do that for 2? How can you do that for 3 businesses? So anyone ever says, oh yeah, I've got 3 businesses, unless they have a massive team behind him and a lot of funding behind him and you're Elon Musk, you're probably just headed for failure. So focus on one. Okay, so now within a market, let me give an example. Let's say you have a repair shop and the market changes. And so why is interest rates over here? So if you have a repair shop and interest rates go up, how does that affect you? Well, when interest rates go up, spending goes down. People hold on to their money. So money is hard to come by. The opportunity cost of every dollar is higher. People are less willing to part ways with their money. So a lot of trust needs to be built in order for them to part ways with their money. If you are a repair shop, how does that affect you? When interest rates go up, people are not, if something breaks, if their bike breaks, they're not just going to go buy a new bike. They're going to repair their bike. If equipment breaks, they're going to go to a repair shop because once again, they want to spend $100 to fix a problem as opposed to buying a new bike for $1,000. So there's multiple variables within a market that you have to solve for. If you have a coaching business, if you have a consulting business, interest rates have also affect you a lot. Like I said, when the opportunity cost is higher of every dollar spent, people need more trust in order to buy from you. So in this type of market right now, in the coaching space as well, and digital space as well as e-commerce space, if you are a known brand, you're typically doing a lot better than someone who doesn't have a brand, that hasn't created and trust in the market. I covered this in another video as well. Feel free to check that out after. But so that's the first dynamic you have to solve for as an entrepreneur. The second dynamic is pricing. The third dynamic is the method of selling. The fourth dynamic is the product, and the fifth dynamic are channels. Okay, so let's get into the second dynamic. And once again, when you understand these 5 dynamics in your business, you're going to be able to get to the root cause a lot faster. What you can also do is you could recognize, hey, this changed in the market. Interest rates went up or they went down. How is it going to affect the rest of my strategy? So this is very fluid. They interact with each other. These are called dynamics for a reason. If one thing changes, now you might have to adjust everything else. That is why the job of the entrepreneur is a job of problem solving. And this is exactly why when you are in a very dynamic market condition environment, if the person leading the company cannot create change within a company, they're going to have a very difficult time navigating the company successfully through the changing market conditions. There's wartime leaders, and then there's everyone else, different type of managers. So that's another factor to keep in mind as well. So in terms of pricing, you have to solve for multiple price points. What is the best strategy to go to market for us, or for us to scale? If you're already doing $1 million, how do you go from $1 million to 10 million? How do you go from 10 million to $100 million? When I was speaking with Grant Cardone and his team, when they invited us over and invited the top 50 marketers over to their headquarters, Grant Cardone said, we have all of these price points. We have people that can enter for $10. We have people that can buy a $100,000 program from us, but we serve the entire market. Or if they want to invest $1 million, we've got an offer for them as well. So the pricing is very dynamic as well. And my recommendation is, if you are doing less than $1 million a year net, then you should really think about focusing on 1 or 2 of these and just optimizing those before you move on to the next one. Someone like Grant Cardone, who's doing over 100 million a year, yes, they can have everything, and then you slowly stack on each other. That's how you get success. Another thing with pricing is solving for one-time pricing, or having a recurring pricing, or having both. Considering financing options, which financing options are good for us, which options are bad for us, which ones we should completely avoid. And I highly recommend against anything with high interest financing. It's not good for your customers, and ultimately it's not good for you as well. The third dynamic is method. So when you have your price set, what is the best way to sell your products? So what is the best method? Let's say you think about going with a mid-ticket product. A mid-ticket product is anywhere between $500 to about $3,000 is a mid-ticket price point, and a high ticket is usually around $5,000 to $100,000 price point. So the method is you figuring out with your team, what are we good at? Okay, where's our skill set? And if your skill set is not there yet, so let's say there's like multiple combinations here, right? So if you're selling a mid-ticket, then most likely you should be good on the webinar side. But if your team is very strong on phone calls, then you should most likely do a high ticket strategy. But what if the market dynamic doesn't allow for a high ticket strategy? So then you have to figure out, okay, how can we create enough trust so that my team can shine? Maybe I need a low ticket product so that I can get people at $10, sell them a book. I need to create an authority piece in the marketplace. Then you recognize, oh snap, this is the missing piece for us in order for our sales team to shine on through a phone call funnel. On phone calls, we need to solve for a low ticket. So this is a puzzle you're constantly solving as an entrepreneur, and then you recognize, you know what, we need to learn how to do this, or we need to hire a consultant, or we need to pay someone like Abdul who's good at this, and then you solve for this gap that you have so that you can move to the next stage. So the method of selling, there's phone calls, there are webinars, there's events, there's in-person events. You could be for physical products, you could be on Amazon, right? You could be on Costco, like whatever. Like there's so many different methods, and you have to figure out what are you best at, what makes sense for the product and the market, and what makes sense for your team. So that is the third, solving for the method through which you're going to transact with your market. The fourth dynamic is the product, okay? Now you have to figure out your team based on the market once again, right? These are all very variable based on the dynamic. You have to basically solve one by one and figure out the winning ultimate combination. So then you realize, okay, you know what? Interest rates have gone up. So what we're going to do is we're going to sell let's say a low ticket product, or let's stick with the green, mid ticket webinar. And in order to sell a $2,000 webinar offer, a webinar offer is anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. So now you have to think, what is our product going to look like? Is it going to be a software? Is it going to be a physical product that we're selling for $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000? Is it going to be a done for you product? Are we going to actually have someone do the fulfillment? Well, especially when you spend money on ads, you're not going to have as much money to spend around. So most likely you're going to be either in the software side or do it yourself side, and you give him information, something which is very scalable, and it's do it yourself, So that is something that you make a decision on. And then once you've done that, and maybe there's a software component, right? These are both very scalable and inexpensive to deliver. And then the last dynamic is channel, right? So again, going back to the market, you have to recognize, where is my audience at? Where they're spending most of their time. And then you have to look at supply and demand for that market as well. For example, if you're gonna be selling a webinar to your market, let's say your market are people that want to learn how to make money by being an AI freelancer, right? So you make a decision, okay, everyone in the world right now wants to be an AI freelancer. It's a very exciting offer right now, and I can run paid advertisement, right? Or I don't want to spend money on ads. I just want to tell people on TikTok and then make sales through TikTok channel. Well, it's going to take you a long time to start developing an ROI on that. Maybe it's going to take 3 months, maybe it's going to take 6 months. Or you realize, hey, you know what? I'm going to reach out to people with the AI accounts and try to broker a deal with them, but you don't have an affiliate manager on your company. Or you can decide which way you want to sell it, or you can decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to run paid ads. I'm going to go to market fast, make money, and then after that, we're going to move into YouTube, or we're going to move into Facebook, or we're going to move into Twitter, which, by the way, is a cheaper platform to advertise on right now because there's not as much supply, not as much competition on X versus on Facebook. There's a lot more competition, and YouTube, it's better than Facebook, but YouTube has some of the best audience as well. And you realize, okay, you know what? We're going to go after this combination, and these are the gaps that we need to solve for in order to get to where we want to get to. And over time, so this is how I think about scaling problems in a business. And this is what creates a lot of clarity. When you start thinking in this way, you can problem solve so quickly, and you can get to the root cause, which is going to help you scale so much faster every single time. It's also a great resource to just look at again and think about market conditions. If what you used to do at one time, right, your pricing was nailed, your method was nailed, your product was nailed, your channel was nailed, and you were making money, and all of a sudden market conditions changed. Pandemic, for example, if your target market couldn't even get outside of the house and your business required people to get out of the house, like a physical business, then of course you need to pivot and maybe go into digital and think about how your selling method looks like. Instead of in person, you have to pivot into online events, virtual events. So this is the exact framework that I use to this very day to get clarity when I'm not sure what's happening in a company. This is what people also pay me thousands of dollars to consult, to problem solve in their business. And I hope you can use this tool as well to make millions for yourself.